Hello, welcome everyone to Live with Sara and Tasha. I am Sara Hodson, the founder and CEO at Live Well Exercise Clinic on this harvest fall autumn day. I wish the sun was really shining behind me as much as it is in my background. And I am joined by the sunshine herself,
Oh,
Tasha McCrae.
bless your heart. I'm Tasha McCrae. I'm the VP of Brand and Culture here at LiveWell. And Sarah and I are LiveWell's original exercise physiologists and health coaches. And we're just so excited that you would join us today and to listen to our topic of the day. Sarah and I really host these sessions to share our passion for the power of exercise and behavior change to just help you live your life to the fullest. Sarah, can you hear Jester, my little geriatric dog, whining in the background?
Just a little bit, but it's just adding flavor. It's just adding flavor. That's
Thank
okay.
you.
That's okay. Hey, we're just real people on real YouTube, running these sessions. And at the end of our discussion today, as always, we will stay on with everyone joining us live today for a live chat and Q&A. So at the end of our session today, feel free to stay on and we'll have a little bit more of an in-depth conversation. But Tasha, I'm going to let you take it away with our topic of the week.
All right. So today we're talking about osteoarthritis. And, raise your hand if you have some osteoarthritis going on. Probably some hands going up there, right? I see them. And that's because osteoarthritis is one of the most common types of arthritis. And in Canada, it affects about 1 out of every 7 adults. So, you know, I understand exercise, your joints are hurting you. It seems sort of counterintuitive to exercise when your body is hurting, but exercise can actually really help decrease joint pain and joint stiffness in people with osteoarthritis. So that's why we wanted to talk about it today. So let's get into sort of why first that exercise helps. And it's that it strengthens the muscles that supports your bones and reduces stress around the joint. So, we've got to be doing that weight training, that weight bearing activity to help strengthen those muscles around the joint. But as well, of course, exercise can help you maintain a healthy weight, which can reduce that joint strain. And it may be that, whether you're exercising in the clinic or outside of the clinic, that your exercise program needs to include some lower impact activities like cycling or using the rowers or the ellipticals outside the clinic. Things like swimming can all be great exercises for people who have OA or osteoarthritis. So, making sure that you start each of your sessions slowly, kind of gently bringing some range of motion into those joints can help decrease some stiffness if you're coming in to an exercise session relatively stiff. If you're finding that after exercise you're really stiff, a little heat on the joint, either before or after activity, really can loosen things up. And if you're getting any kind of real pain or swelling, we shouldn't see a lot of swelling. Talk to your exercise physiologists if you are experiencing swelling after exercise, but ice or cold can really, really help. So, the takeaway from this little kind of intro to OA is that exercise is actually medicine for your joints. It might seem like my joints are really hurting, I should take the day off, but we really find is if you get moving, motion is lotion for the joints, and you'll actually start loosening things up and feeling a little bit better. Anybody noticed that when they're exercising, you might come in feeling a bit Tin Man-ish, but you leave feeling a little bit more fluid? Yeah, for sure.
Tasha, I don't know if you remember a couple years ago, I got to do a co-presentation with a physician who was specifically talking about the pain from arthritis. And he showed a slide that I really appreciated, and that was that the cycle of immobility leads to pain. And when you're in that pain cycle, pain then just precedes more pain. And mentally, that is very, very hard to get out of. We have a lot of fear, and nobody wants to live in increasing pain. But the only way out of that pain cycle is mobility. The only way to turn off and to unlock ourselves from the cycle of pain is to move. And I think that it's just our minds don't necessarily think that way. We have kind of almost some self-preservation thinking that when we're in pain, stop, hold on, don't move too much. When in fact, the movement, like Tasha was saying, is what actually kind of greases up our joints and can actually make everything feel better. And we get mentally stronger and we build more confidence in it and we build our self efficacy. And, one of the other things that we have to think about when we think about sometimes the lack of movement that people have when they're suffering from osteoarthritis is the health of our heart. Um, and it is another really important reason as to why we need to exercise if we have osteoarthritis. There was a 2019 study that was published in the Journal of Osteoarthritis and Cartilages, which followed a large group of people from Sweden who had osteoarthritis. And they found that those people with hip and or knee osteoarthritis actually had a higher rate of cardiovascular deaths compared to the general population, specifically in relation to chronic heart disease and heart failure. The researchers actually suggested that it was the mobility limitation that was behind the increased risk of heart disease. And it makes sense when we think about it, right? If we're not able to move as much and we know that movement is medicine for our heart, then we start to get kind of this cascading complexity of different chronic diseases that start to layer on. And this really further strengthens our need to move and to be active. And not only can activity help with the pain and the joint, but the movement is obviously essential for our overall well being, both our physical, our mental, and for our social health. Um, while the risk of osteoarthritis it does increase with age, nearly a third of people are diagnosed before the age of 45. So, very interesting, an opportunity for people to be active early on to again prevent getting into that really locked in pain cycle. Osteoarthritis, again, it is a progressive disease, and it really does lead to the breakdown of a joint over time. There currently is no cure for osteoarthritis, but there are self management tools and there are ways to manage discomfort to stop OA from limiting our lifestyle.
Though my father-in-law tells me technology is really coming up and they're injecting some sort of squishy substance into his knees that's just miraculous, but not yet covered by our
Okay.
medical. So if you're not getting squishy stuff stuck into your knees, what can you do to help protect your joints and manage OA? And I wanted to share just a couple of things that you can do at any age, any stage, no matter if you have osteoarthritis or if your joints are healthy and you're just trying to prevent it. So first off, watch your form when you're doing anything, whether it's exercises or doing your activities of daily living, whether it be gardening or lifting laundry baskets or, doing things around your house. We need to have proper alignment because when we don't have proper alignment, it just puts excessive stress on your joint. So, think about how you're going down and crouching down to pick something off the ground. If your knees are leading over your toes, you're putting more strain on your knees. And sort of this repetitive knee strain can over time lead to deterioration or to make pain that you already have worse. So really be cognizant and watch your form, a good mindfulness exercise for you there. The second thing is to pace yourself. So when you're tired, we're more likely to succumb to bad form. So, in your day to day, or even in an exercise session, pay attention to yourself getting more tired. I know that when I'm riding my stationary exercise bike, as the more tired I get, the more I find I'm starting to slump, and your bad form starts to set in. And of course, if that's done day after day after day, it can be hard on the joints. So pay attention when you're getting tired in your activities of daily living. That might mean taking a break between working and resting and giving yourself, not just powering through, let's say, all of your gardening at once, but instead finding this balance of, I'm going to do a little bit here and I'm going to take a little break there, and just pacing yourself so that that allows you to, for your body and your muscles to be ready to take on more with good form. And then the last tip is, of course, manage your weight. Easier said than done, right? But carrying extra weight does increase your risk of developing osteoarthritis. And what's really interesting is that we always thought, well, it's just that it causes more pressure on the joints, right? Extra weight, more to carry, more pressure on the joints. But the research is now starting to show that there's likely some sort of metabolic inflammatory stress that's caused by carrying extra weight that contributes to the inflammation is already happening in osteoarthritis. So it may sort of be, managing your weight may be twofold. You're going to decrease some of the strain on the joint, but you're also going to work with that metabolic strain and those inflammatory markers in your body. So, a lot of people, when they have osteoarthritis, are looking to lose big amounts of weight, but remembering that 5 to 10% of your body weight does really make a difference on not only your joints but on your health. When we talk about diabetes management, it's that 5 to 10% of weight loss that has a really dramatic effect on your metabolic health, and it appears that that might also apply here when we're talking about osteoarthritis.
And Tash, when you talk about that kind of watching your form and making sure that we're decreasing that excess of load on our joints, oftentimes this is where people will bring up, well, should I be in the water all the time,
Mhm.
to be buoyant? And as much as there is a therapeutic benefit from being in the water, we do also live on the land, so we do have to prepare our joints and strengthen our body to live on the land. So, yes, it's good to sometimes be in the water, but not every day and as the only form of exercise. But I will say that I have, in the last, how long have we been doing this, Tasha? 20 years now. In over the last 20 years, I have almost never had somebody um, not be able to use that new step that we have in the clinic, that reclined new step machine that has the arms that move and stepping, because we're able to unload the joint there, but get full mobility, and people feel comfortable, and they're taking all of these kind of issues that we're talking about. We're taking our body weight out of the equation, we're supporting the joints, and we're really able to move at a pace. So really that new step, that stepper, recline stepper in the clinic is just, it's not a typical piece of equipment that we see in a gym, right? But it's something that we know that Tash and I, when we worked in cardiac rehab, we saw the value of this, and we wanted to bring it into Live Well Exercise Clinic, because specifically when we're talking about osteoarthritis, it is a piece of equipment that is helpful. It helps people to move into mobility. And remember, the only way to unlock that pain cycle is mobility. So I wanted to just add that piece in there.
I love that, Sarah. What other machine in the clinic that I find underutilized but good, even and though it doesn't seem intuitive, is the rower. Right?
Mm.
Same idea. It gives you a little bit of, your body is a bit supported and you're pushing against it. But I remember when we worked in cardiac rehab all those years ago, seeing four rowers lined up, and these four ladies all ages 80 plus, rowing down the river. And so
Yeah.
sometimes we think the rower is kind of a like a really, yes, you can work really hard and get a really tough workout on it, but it can also be a good just mission
Gentle
to get,
mover.
yeah, to get that
Yeah.
mobility into those knees and get that synovial fluid working for you.
Hmm.
So
Well,
those are our tips to help you live well this week. We will keep,
oh,
we will, sorry, Sarah. We will stay on with our Live Well members. If you're joining us live and you want to stay on for a little Q&A, we are excited to do that with you.
and we thank you for joining us this week on our episode of Sarah and Tasha Live. And we wish you sweat and smiles all week long. Thank you for joining us today.